we're a little, what should we say? We're amateurs with technology. So we're just trying to figure out how to work our way around that. But again, for the newcomers, on the screen, you will see Sowmiya Bhas. She is the founder and the CEO or the owner of a brand called the W Therapies. And she specializes as a psychotherapist, a hypnotherapist, and she has other parapsychology certifications like animal communication, shamanism, and there's a big list that follows as a list of her accomplishments. She's also a newly established author of a poetry book, which is called The Beginning and End of Nothing. It's available on Amazon. We just take all possible spaces to market ourselves like that. So that's about her. My name is Hema Subramanian. I've also been working as a psychotherapist and a corporate trainer for donkey's years now. The reason why we started this series of sessions was for us, all of us, to become more aware of our emotions, because that seems to be like the need of the hour. And the more we understand our emotions ourselves, the easier we get through life, the more content, happy lives we seem to lead, which is which has been our realization across these many years of being a therapist. So these are sessions which are going to happen every Thursday between 8 and 8:30. And we're just going to deep dive into different emotions that exist and maybe answer some questions that you may have for us. So recapping, Sowmiya, do you want to recap the last session, please?
Yes. So just simply going back to where we had begun, just understanding emotions and what are they. So emotions are very natural to us. From Hema shared a couple of clips with us from the movie Inside Out to show that a baby, when a baby is born, even at that moment, the baby has emotions. Love and fear being the primary emotions that anyone and everyone is born with. And it has to do with survival. So in terms of love, simply put, where do I get my basic needs fulfilled from? If I'm getting that, I'm happy. And if I'm not getting that, there's a fear of survival and you cry, you express it in that way as a baby would. And slowly as you grow up, how other emotions also become a part of our fruit basket, if I may say so. And slowly develops into more. So eventually a whole gamut of emotions. We shared an emotion wheel where under each category of the basic 7 emotions, it it blooms into many more emotions which are there. And are they necessary? Yes, emotions are necessary because it helps us weave our way around through the world. What do we do with that? Because we often categorize emotions as good and bad because we live in a world of duality. And to make sense of what we are feeling, we say, okay, in a particular situation, we need to feel anger, justified anger probably, or I cannot express my anger with my boss. So because of whatever repercussions and hence labeled as bad. So what do you do with that? The good emotions, yes, nice to express, but sometimes that also we don't do. So this session is dedicated to what do we do with emotions? How do we get a handle on that? How do we manage it better? Just so to make our lives better. So Hema, why don't you explain that example? That was quite good.
Yeah, so this is something that I usually tell everybody, and also I've realized over time as a big realization. So emotions have something to tell us. They have a very, very important message for us. Maybe they show us what we like, what makes us happy, or what we should be careful with. Some important message they will give. So the basic tenet here is that nothing given by nature is useless. Nature will always put something inside us which has a very, very big role to play. So even emotions have a very big role to play. So this, I'm just going to give you a metaphor. You are at your home and there is a person who comes knocking at the door, you don't know who the person is, and the person's knocking at your door and telling you that I have something very, very important to tell you. I have something very important to share with you. Okay? You don't know this person at all. What do you do? This is a question for all of you. If you can unmute yourself and talk, great. If you can't, you can just chat with us. Like we said, it's an open forum. You can feel free to jump in. So somebody has something very important to tell you and knocking at the door. The door is locked from inside, of course. What do you do? Someone comes knocking at the door. Kushi, do you want to try? Okay. Does anybody want to try? It's a no-brainer. If nobody gets it, then we'll go back to rigging answers here. Yeah, Gokul, you unmuted yourself.
Yeah, so we open the door.
Great. Great. So if let's say somebody doesn't open the door, I would be apprehensive to open the door. Great. Okay, you will be apprehensive. So Sharda says, I'll be apprehensive, so I won't open the door. Gokul says, obviously, because I don't know who it is. Okay, but Gokul says, I will open the door. And okay, Sharda says, I will be apprehensive because it may be a thief. So let's say two scenarios. Gokul opens the door. So Gokul, what happens when the door opens? What do you do next?
You said somebody has something important to tell me, so obviously I'll listen to what they have to say.
Right. And then?
Then respond accordingly.
Correct. And then send them away. Why send them away? They will themselves go because they have done their job. So that's great.
Yeah.
Sharda, this is a question for you. I don't know if you can drive and chat and talk.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'm in traffic.
Yeah.
So I can talk.
Okay. So if you don't open the door, because the person has something very important to tell you, what do you think will happen next?
No, but I would ask them. I mean, I think it's a little more complicated because I wouldn't open the door just believing them that they have something important to tell me.
Okay. So let's say you don't open the door. What do you think, because the message is important, what do you think the other person outside the door will do?
I mean, they will insist or try harder to convince me to open the door.
Yes.
Or after some time, obviously give up if I've made up my mind.
No, because it's an important, in case of emotion, so this is a metaphor that we are drawing here. Because it is an important message, they are trying to tell you something, they will keep knocking. They will keep knocking till you open the door.
Okay.
And if you don't open the door, they will just knock harder.
Correct.
Because what they have to say is, according to them, life-changing for you. Like Sowmiya said, it's probably sometimes even a matter of survival. So the emotions are like that. The more you say that, okay, tu bahar khade raho, I'm not going to open the door, I'm going to avoid you, I'm just not going to listen to you, I'm going to, I'm scared, I'm not going to open the door for. So the more you avoid them, the more complicated it is going to get. The harder the emotion will knock, or let's say that you have distracted yourself. You said, Abhi, I'm not going to open the door, main darwaza nahi kholne wali hu, for whatever reason. That emotion is going to stand outside. And it is going to wait for an opportune moment to come back and remind you, I'm still here. And I will still tell you what I had to tell you. So for all practical purposes, emotions cannot be avoided. You cannot run away from them. You will have to open the door. What Gokul said is the most prudent thing to do. Just open the door. When I say open the door, you don't need to, it's also a choice to not let the entire emotion come in. You say open the door. वो दो दरवाजे होते हैं अपने यहाँ पे अभी फिलहाल, एक safety door होता है और एक main door होता है. If you feel comfortable, you can open both doors, or you can open one door and outside from the safety door you can say क्या भाई क्या चाहिए, and they will give the message and then they will automatically go off. So the bottom line here is a concept called as acknowledgement. Acknowledging the emotion is the first step. If you do not acknowledge the emotion will knock harder, will come back at a time when it is most inconvenient for you. or will come back in a mutated form. It will become bigger and larger and just flood you with, the message saying that now at least look at me, right? So here I want Sowmiya to contribute because she has a 2-year-old, and every time he cries, she asks him a very beautiful question. What happened? Are you hurt or are you scared? And that kid automatically chooses one of them. And then, the next step is for Sowmiya to say something and he automatically calms down. So it's a beautiful, it's actually very simple. And we'll talk a great deal about why we are scared, why we avoid emotions, why we, try to divert our minds and so on and so forth. So the first step, the primary tenet here is for us to acknowledge the emotion first. So handing it over again, for parents, I think it's a great skill to acknowledge emotions, not only in themselves, but also in others. As people who are, as human beings who work with others, who have relationships, friendships, it's also important to acknowledge emotions within ourselves and in others. The more we acknowledge emotions in ourselves, the more we will be able to connect to other people and understand them better. Okay. So, Sowmiya, can you, we will take it forward and we say that what do we do now that we cannot avoid it? We cannot run away from it. We have to acknowledge it. And then what happens next is something that Sowmiya will continue.
So acknowledging emotions, yes. So now I'm feeling a certain way, you identified it. And then what? What's the next step to it? How do you become okay with it? Because where we operate from is a level of homeostasis. We want to feel that normal. And we don't want these emotions causing upheavals in our system, because then our feeling of normalcy goes away. And so we try everything and anything to either avoid it or say later. Because right now what is happening is where I want to be. I know I can manage this. But that also is a temporary fix, because like Hema said, unless you acknowledge the emotions, you're not going to get rid of it. Getting rid of it is not something that we're looking at. We're looking at how do we make it a part of us. It is a part of us. We are trying to shun it away, given our busy lifestyles, given our 110 things that we have to do, and then we have to deal with our emotions as well. No, sorry. So the easiest thing to do, acknowledging, is maybe write a journal and being mindful about it. If you Google it up, you will find millions of ways to figure out how to go about starting it. But simply, take a book, take maybe 5 minutes off from your busy schedule and just write down what you're feeling. Get into your body. If you're not able to figure out what am I feeling, maybe start off with, okay, notice yourself. How am I feeling at the moment? Write down, I'm breathing heavy, and there is a slight tension on my neck. And then just keep writing whatever comes into your mind without judging what you're writing, why you're writing it. Cut off the thinking and just write. At the end of it, you will notice that if you go back to read it, you'll notice you have written down something which is what was trying to come into your forefront. And now by just writing it down, there's a shift, there's a change in your emotion. If writing is not what you'd like to do, maybe draw something, paint something, and don't think. It's not a thinking game. Emotions are not thoughts. Just let it go, let it free flow, and see what comes out of that art. Whatever you're feeling, if you're not even able to put it in words, you will have it on paper. Another very interesting thing that we often follow is a technique called emotional freedom technique. This is a concept which is available. There's more data available on the internet as well. And to explain the premises of it, I like Hema to get into it because she swears by it and it works beautifully. So maybe in the future we will conduct some sessions on, just EFT. But right now, just a small introduction on that. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this is so surreal. Both of us, Sowmiya and I, and so many other people, I think Sharda as well, we swear by EFT. It's like, oh my God, it's supposed to work, and it works just wonderfully. So a little bit of history of what EFT is. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. Before we go into that, I will just show you something that it shows like body-mind connection. We all know our body and mind are connected to each other. So in hypnotherapy, we call this the body syndrome. And so last time also we said that it starts with a thought. The thought has a related emotion to it. This emotion has some energy. For example, happy emotion has a happy energy, has a positive energy. Or not, again, we don't, for the sake of, there's no good or bad with emotions, but again, because we have no other words to say anything, so we say negative emotions have some negative energy. Now, all of this is happening in a fraction of a second, millisecond even. And all of this is stored in our body. So obviously, there is a very strong connection between our mind and our body. ये कोई बड़ा discovery नहीं है. It's not that we have done something around it. There are stalwarts in the field. Louise Hay bolo, Sigmund Freud bolo. मतलब, you name the person, name the school of thought. They've spoken about how the mind and body are connected, and how if you have, so many pravachans where people say that keep a positive attitude and then things will fall in place, and manifestation and affirmations and God knows what else. So we know that the mind influences the body. Now, EFT focuses on how can the body influence the mind, the reverse technique. So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. It started, the premise of EFT is based on acupressure and a mixture of acupressure and affirmations. So like we said, how does it go? What we do is we start, this is a flow of how we go about the emotional freedom technique. So first things first, identify what you want to deal with. Identify the thought, the feeling, or what is happening, the action or the physical discomfort. For those of you who have chronic discomforts, pains, I think this works wonderfully. I remember Sowmiya's sister, Ramya, she had taught her 2-year-old this, as young as 2-year-old. She taught her the EFT, and that every time the kid would feel some pain, she will come to her and her mother and say, even though, right? So it's just a no-brainer. Anybody can do it. Anybody and everybody can do it. I personally admire a gentleman called Brad Yates. We will send you the link of his YouTube channel, and he has some amazing tapping scripts. So if you are dealing with something on a consistent level, something over a period of time, you can follow his scripts and tap along as well. So the first thing that we do is to identify what we are talking about, what we want to deal with, the thought, feeling, action, or physical discomfort. Let's say I have a stomach ache. That's a physical discomfort. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, I have to rate the intensity of the stomach ache. Let's say, 1 being, 0 being there is no pain, and then the pain increases, 10 being it's killing me. Okay, so I rate the intensity. Let's say I have a pain of about 6 on 10. That's how it's hurt. That's how much it's hurting. Now, we tap something called as a karate chop point. So we've all seen these people who practice karate. They use the side of the hand. They break bricks and they break boards and they break whatnot with this particular point, and this side of the hand. Now, if you actually feel that side of the hand, you will realize that it's not a very strong part. It's pretty soft actually. It's pretty squishy. I'm not talking about the fat. Just that area doesn't have too much strength. But it is said that the entire power of your body and your mind can be concentrated on this point. So concentrated that you can even break bricks and boards. So it starts with you start tapping. So you can use these 2 fingers. You can rub this point, or you can tap this point. Yeah, or you can even do this. So you tap the karate chop point while saying the following sentence thrice. This is the shortcut. Now, what did we say? We said that you have to acknowledge the feeling. You don't have to avoid it. So If I feel the stomach ache, I said, I don't want to feel pain. I don't want to feel pain. That's avoiding it, right? That's like telling that, okay, I don't acknowledge it. So you say, even though I feel this stomach pain, I still choose to love that part of me, because my mind has created this, no? My mind has created the fear of not feeling the pain. My mind has created possibly also the physical discomfort over a period of time. So even though I feel the stomach pain, if you know the reason, you can add the reason there. If you don't know the reason, then you can say, I don't know why. I don't know why my stomach is hurting, but still I choose to feel and integrate, love and accept that part of me completely. This is what you repeat thrice all while you're tapping. We'll show you a couple of more scripts happening around. Sowmiya will show that. She's published it on her Instagram as well. So at the W Therapies on Instagram. So you can go and check that out. So you say, even though I feel, even though my stomach is hurting terribly and I don't know why, but still I choose to love and accept that part of me completely. So you say that thrice, then place your hands on your heart and then you breathe out 7 times. When you breathe out, blow it out, you are imagining that pain being exited from your system. Okay. Then after you tap it thrice, say the sentence, breathe out 7 times, you check the intensity and you keep tapping, do those rounds of tapping till the pain becomes bearable to 1 or 2 maybe. Okay. And trust me, in the worst of my times, I've gone back to tapping. There was this time a couple of years ago, 1.5 years ago to be precise, I was traveling by a rickshaw and the rickshaw toppled over, like completely turtled over. And the pain was killing me because the frame of that auto fell right on my foot, on my ankle. And it was killing me, the pain. The minute I came out, because the pain was 10 on 10, maybe even 11 on 10, I was actually zoned out. I started tapping, and within the next 5 minutes, I could walk back home at least. It was that bearable. So we swear by it, and maybe you should give it a shot too. So this is the shortest form of it. If you don't have time, if you don't have space, if you're in a public area, you want a quick fix, you can do this. But there is also an advanced form of it, an elongated form of it. Sowmiya is going to show those points that we use while doing a bigger round of tapping, which is for a more intense issue, an issue which has been stretching over a longer time. For example, being scared of exams, being sad about a particular thing, you know. So if you have had a prolonged feeling, then we do a round of tapping. Anyways, everything starts with the karate chop point. So Sowmiya, please go ahead.
So as Hema said, you can only use the side of your hand, the karate chop point, and it will be just as effective. And tapping on the other points, as she had mentioned, EFT uses a combination of acupressure principles also. So the points which are marked in red are actually acupressure points as well, and they run through the entire energy meridian of a body. So tapping it, basically what helps does is move the energy along the meridian, releasing whatever is trapped along those lines. So one of the points is here, the most basics one, the most easy to reach ones. And the other, after this is an entire circuit that you do. You start with the inside of your eyebrow over here. Then you move towards the corner of your eye, that's here. So it's just continuous tap, tap, tap. Then you move towards under the eye, tap, 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 with the words that you say. Then is under the nose, here. Move on to under the chin. Move on to the collarbone, the space over here. Then move on to under your arm, just below your arm, this point. And finally, onto the top of your head. So this is the circuit that you do with the words that you use. Like I said, maybe we can hold a session in the future to do this entire circuit, and it will be much clearer. If you want to know it sooner, you can check out Brad Yates' website. It's very informative. We try it often. and it helps us definitely.
So,
So
all
that's
of
about
this tapping, this dancing thing, you cannot probably do it in public. So when you are maybe at your workplace or you're traveling, you just do a tap, 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 tap. And then you just silently breathe out. But when you are at home, you have a lot of time, you can definitely pick this up. It's a beautiful, beautiful technique that we can work with. So again, this is one of the most basic ones that we want you guys to fall back on. While Sowmiya goes on, many ways of acknowledging emotions. I think having a great friend to talk to is can solve half of your problems, because at least the first step of acknowledging the emotion that I feel this about this particular issue is a great start. And when you are being a listener to somebody, remember that most times emotions have their own logic. So your logic may not apply to their logic. So how do you help somebody who feels a lot of emotional pain? You just keep quiet and you listen. That's all that you do.
So what Hema is talking about is basically venting. So that is also another form which will help you in managing your emotions. Talking to a friend, or you have that freedom, you have that space, talking to a person who you completely trust. Only thing is, what happens is, are you able to be completely yourself, vent out completely, or do you hold something back because of fear of judgment? Whoever it is, we always have that fear a little bit. If I say this, what will they think? So, unless you know that the opposite person is not going to judge you for that. One person who you can be sure about, well, that will be acceptable and okay, is a therapist place. So yes, and usually people don't go there in the beginning, but if you want total freedom, that's one of the things that you can gift yourself, actually, without the fear of holding something back. What if I say this and she'll get hurt or he'll get hurt, or how will I be perceived? We can leave that. We don't need to carry that extra baggage either. And while doing that, during any of the techniques that we have shared, if you're doing any of those, if you do end up crying, it means that you are moving forward. It is a form of release. It is a form of catharsis. And sometimes just accepting, acknowledging, and expressing it in whatever form brings about that amount of catharsis that you've been looking for. So crying is a good thing. We often say, don't cry, stop it, and it's okay, kya hua batao, don't cry. But crying is good. It's good.
Like Khushi said right in the beginning, right? She felt overwhelmed and her tears of joy as well. So emotions can do that to us, they can make us tear up with happiness, with fear, with anger, sometimes even. I've been known to do this, that when I feel extremely angry, I end up crying. Because I'm not used to shouting, screaming, and stuff like that. So it ends up happening, and that's perfectly all right. In fact, I particularly prescribe crying, and if you can't cry on your own or in front of a therapist, please watch movies. There are thousands of movies that make you cry. No reason. It's a great connect to watch a movie and feel that same emotion that movie characters are feeling, and it's okay to let go very often. So this was just a primer on how we cope with emotion. Like we said, we can't, just to recap it, we can't avoid it. Please don't run away from it. Try not to tell yourself, don't feel this, because it's a useless exercise. Sooner or later, it's going to come banging at your door again. So there's...
And what you say that don't feel it is at the thought level.
Correct. That also.
If it is there in your body, you're just not acknowledging it. So it's already there. What you can do by being kind to yourself is acknowledge it at whatever level, so it doesn't cause you further harm, especially in your physical body.
I like open the door so the person can go away sooner,
Yeah.
It's just as simple as that. Aa jao aur puta do usko. Otherwise, that person's next time the person's going to come, that emotion's going to sit and have chai with you, which is going to be even more painful. That's the problem. So yeah, our Phuket Zoom session is going to end soon. If you have any questions, please write to us. You can even write it on the Insta page at the W Therapies. I think that's that, right?
If you have any questions now, we are ready for that. We have a couple of minutes.
I have a small question.
Yes.
So we were talking about pain and how we can reduce it with EFT. But sometimes what physiology tells us is that, like how we discussed, that emotions are directing us towards something that we are feeling or something that we must acknowledge. Even pain is sometimes, that is a signal, no? Like if your stomach is paining, for example, it's telling you that something is not right. So then why are we using EFT to reduce the pain? Or is it only after acknowledging the pain that we are, what is the logic?
So the logic is the pain is there to tell you there is wrong. Okay. But also when we are acknowledging it, our focus can be directed into finding out what is wrong. Instead of, it's like pain, what is available right here in front of you, and you cannot see beyond that. When you acknowledge it, when you acknowledge any emotion, and what happens is, now you get a clear insight towards what was the reason that brought about that pain in the first place. Like for example, if it's a stomachache that Hema said as an example, it can be caused due to any reason, food poisoning being the simplest, but it also means it can be something that, a thought, an opinion by someone else is not digested by you. Okay, so we are going to that level, that the premise is that any illness that you're facing, it's not just because of what you think is around you or what you see is around you, not just physiology, but beyond that, the mind and how we process emotions, process other people's opinion, process ourselves at that level, which if unprocessed, shows up in our body.
And like Louise says it very beautifully. She says the body is not designed to self-destruct. It's designed to heal. So if it is not healing, then the question is, what is stopping the healing? Now, why do some people heal faster than other people? What is the magic there? So something like that. Like, I know because Sharda and I have been talking a lot, less than a minute. Okay, it's just going to, we'll pick this up maybe in one of those sessions about the mind-body connection and Louise
Sure, yeah.
And all of that. And can we really negate the physiology of it all? So yeah, so next time maybe we catch up a little more with EFT. Maybe we'll do some practice sessions together, and then we'll take it forward from there. And if you want to write to us at the W Therapies